Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast. And as always, I'm going to kick it over to John and Randall and I for the chit-chat in just a few minutes here. But as always, I'm going to talk about a few of the games that I've been playing as of late, although I haven't been doing a ton of gaming. I'm just, this is actually the first intro for the Save It for the Cast episodes that I've recorded now that I'm back in Michigan, although we've been like kind of prepping for that over the last month, or at least I have, and we've been pre-recording episodes and everything. So this is a discussion, from one of the episodes that the three of us got together, and John joins in a little bit later in the conversation. Randall and I kind of reminisce about our Best Buy, and even just, I guess, maybe not reminisce per se, but talk about our corporate retail days and whatnot. And then, John joins in later, and we just kind of talk about all sorts of stuff, cooking recipes and video games, of course. But yeah, I have been able to do one stream since I've been back home, like just kind of mostly a test stream to get things all set up, but I had to kick things off with the latest game, and I think I even talked about this on a previous Save It for the Cast episode, but the folks over at PUNKCAKE Délicieux just put out the like souped up version of Pigments, which was originally made by one of the developers over there, Benjamin Soule, on Pico 8, for the Disc Room Game Jam, and it's obviously very much inspired by Disc Room, but you play as all these different fruits, and I was just like, okay, if I'm going to do a first stream to test things out back in Michigan, I got to check out the new PUNKCAKE game, and oh my gosh, it does not disappoint. Like I said, I think I talked about it on the podcast before, and just like in anticipation of its release, because it just got announced, but it does not disappoint. I think they added a bunch more fruits, and it's essentially like a Super Hot meets Splatoon meets Snake meets I don't know, I guess that's a good trio of games. I think I even saw somebody on Twitter say something along those lines. But yeah, you're just trying to like cover as much of, you're almost like time basically moves in slow motion or almost stopped Super Hot style, and then you just move up, down, left, or right, and you hop around all the different tiles. It's like a grid-based puzzle game, but very arcadey in that sense, and you're just trying to cover as much of the ground as possible, just like you did in the Pico 8 version, but now you got slamming tunes from Pentadrangle. You've got just some awesome new additions, new enemies. It's not all just like gears. There's like some frogs on some of the later stages. I think there's like 12 different fruits, and each fruit is like its own stage with its own set of challenges. Like it almost has, like, it's not a roguelike, but it almost has that sort of flavor, or that roguelite flavor where you're like playing, okay, I unlocked a new mode or a new palette or whatever. But all the stages feel just like very distinct, very like some of the, like the watermelon, you can take up to 2 or maybe even 3 hits. I think the coconut maybe is 3 hits. So they all have like different HP, different amounts of like pigment that they can carry at any given time. You got to kind of juggle like picking up the different like droplets of pigment. And then, you got to keep that meter full, almost like a Mega Man, like power meter on the side that you have to make sure you're not running out of ink. But it's just such an amazing game. And yeah, PUNKCAKE they just don't know how to miss. And from there, I briefly played our buddy Fletch, who has made a few really cool games, also on the Pico 8, actually, Speed Cat. And I ended up playing a game that they're currently working on. They have a build up on their itch.io page called Earthquack, and it's just kind of like, it's essentially, right now, it's just like a vertical platformer, like get as high as you can, very arcadey, like get as high of a score as you can. But I know it's very much a work in progress. Like there was no sound at the moment, but it's just a really charming, super fun arcade game. It was a lot of fun during the stream. Just a few people were hanging out, and Fletch was in the stream, although somebody else was like, hey, why don't you check out Fletch's new game? And I'm like, why do I never think of this stuff when I'm the one that's up and running? But hey, that's what that's what y'all are there for. But yeah, after that, I played a couple other games, and I ended up finishing up the stream with this game called Garlic, which I wanted to give a shout out to as well. It's a game that I've been wanting to play for quite a while. It's just a really, really frantic and gorgeous pixel art, almost like a 1-bit or like a 4-bit, but 8-bit. I don't know. It's got a bunch of different palettes. Like every time you go through a new like level, like each stage has almost like 10 distinct like zones in it. Or like, I don't know, at the bottom left corner of the screen, they'll say like 1-1, 1-2 as you like clear through the zone or whatever. And then on the 10th zone, there'll be a boss. And I've just cleared the first 2 zones, which took, I don't know, close to like an hour or so. I was pretty impressed at like how chunky and beefy the levels are. And there's just like a lot of cool gimmicks going on top of the cool, like the pixel art's just amazing. And essentially it's just a precision platformer with a dash that you can dash sort of octo-directional, but you can also like slam into the wall and do almost like a spin dash off of that. It's sort of hard to explain, but your dash is essentially your attack, but it's really just a hop and bop platformer with some Celeste inspiration, but it's definitely not like as precision platforming. It's more like a Mega Man style game, but I really love like the opening sequence to each stage feels very like Sonic, or even just Sega in general, the way they have those like opening, like, you know, Emerald Hill Zone or Green Hill Zone, whatever. I don't think it's Emerald Hill, but whatever. I just really like that Sega flair with like the kind of, Grapple Dog did it as well. I just really love those like level openings where it's just like zone 1. It's just such a stylistic game. It's really, really stunning. And I was a little bit worried, like it does come off like a little bit almost like edgelordy at times. Like it's like very much like, oh, you're just trying to like woo this like female character. I don't really know what's going on. It's pretty bonkers. And there's all sorts of like different levels. Like at one stage you're like in this like almost like pseudo 3D pixel art, like walking towards the screen in like a totally different pixel art style, like very anime inspired at times, and you're just trying to like not step on dog crap and cigarettes, but then trying to kick the cans to like look cool and raise your love meter. Like I half the time I don't really know what's going on, but those almost feel like they're just like interstitial, like jokey elements of the game, and then you get back to the precision platforming. But it even has like a little bit of like a Wario Land flair and flavor, like when you get like hit by something that's like burning or something like that, your like whole head turns into like this giant flaming garlic and you're kind of sprinting and running around. It doesn't necessarily work like it does in Wario Land, where you end up getting those like pickups, or like you almost like take damage as like a power up in some of those games to solve some of the puzzles. And it doesn't necessarily work like that, but you can like kind of save yourself, like, oh, I took damage, but if I can like kind of run back and forth and make sure I don't run off the ledge off this bottomless pit or into this lava or whatever, I can kind of make sure that or I can kind of like, keep myself alive for a little bit longer. But yeah, just a really cool game that I've been having a blast with. And I'm really looking forward to getting some streams up and running back in Michigan once I'm a little more all set up. I still feel like I'm kind of like slowly unpacking, but I feel like after this weekend, I feel like I'm pretty much good to go. But yeah, I think I'm going to keep things short and sweet-ish on the intro here and kick it over to John, Randall, and I. Although, again, John joins the conversation about halfway through here. But yeah, as always, we will catch you next week for another episode. And until then, take care, and we'll catch you next week. No overtime. Yep. No, don't you dare, work 15 extra minutes. I think didn't they have all those like things where like you couldn't clock in like more than 5 minutes early. Like it was like, pre-programmed in to where like, okay, it's just like going to block you from clocking in.
But we're going to mean mug you if you're 5 minutes late. So, it's like, but you need to come in early, but you can't clock in more than 5 minutes early.
Yeah. You got to be dressed and ready to work.
Yeah. So that's your time that you get to spend for free. But you know.
Yeah, not to mention driving to work, all this crap.
Oh, my God. How many days was I just frantically getting there at the last minute? Oh, man.
It wasn't the worst job, especially because I obviously met some cool peeps there, worked with some cool peeps, and it was pretty fun and low-key, and especially, working through college or whatever, just out of high school. It's like, pretty good job.
One of the better case scenarios for a retail job, to be honest.
Yeah, especially
the flaws with it were that it was a corporate retail job, not
exactly
Best Buy in particular. Like Target was a way, way worse place to work at, morale-wise and otherwise, to be honest. Horrible.
Like you could easily just kind of like, when they're doing the store chants at Best Buy, you could easily just be like, I'm on the outside of the circle, outside looking in. I don't really need to participate in this. I can half-ass it. And
I'm not going to be one of these retail managers, No, that's not my fate. So I don't have to worry about that the same way,
Yeah, that always made me cringe to the max. Just like, oh my God, there's customers right outside the door. They can see this. Don't you guys think this is weird?
It is weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
God. Those were the days.
Oh, man.
That really did kind of kick my gaming habit back into gear, though, because it was like especially when I would work those shifts with just Jacob when he was like training me and he was the supervisor. It was like, man, I have nothing else to talk about with Jacob other than video games.
Right.
So like, okay, we could talk about this. And then it kind of got me like back hooked into like, oh, okay, what do they have? What do we have here that I could play on my GameCube at home or my PS2 or whatever? Like I still had some of the systems, me or my brothers. So.
Right. Yeah, it kicked into a different gear for me too.
Yeah, especially once we started like hanging out and playing strikers and bust a move and whatever the heck, and Pokemon Puzzle League and doing the hangs over at Milton's after work and whatever. It was like, okay, this is pretty fun.
This is an interesting time for video games too, for what that was worth.
Yeah, especially to be working there when the Wii came out and when the PS3 came out within like a week. I think it was like 2 days or something, but like within a week for sure of each other.
Yep.
That was pretty cool, especially because they were both like kind of going a different direction with it. And to just be like part of that, like, the Wiis are never in stock.
Vita launch, DS in its prime, end of the GBA. Really interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we still had GBA games on the shelf when I started there. I forgot about that. Good old Game Boy Advance.
Man, the Game Boy Advance games look so beautiful on that analog pocket too. I
really want to get
it on
one
again.
of those.
Like, oh man, this is sick. And now they finally jailbroke it.
Nice. And I keep forgetting that you can dock it to the TV.
Yeah.
Because I keep thinking like, it bums me out that like, especially for the Advance, like it kind of shrinks the screen or, it's a limited screen real estate for sure with any handheld system, obviously.
So like the fact
knowing that you can get that adapter and hook it up and like, okay, I can play this with a controller and play all the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and beyond, right? You can do like Game Gear, or at least if you get the adapters and stuff.
Yep, you sure can. Yes, you can.
Oh man, that's so tempting. I gotta order one of those.
And the 8-bit DOE controllers are all compatible with the dock and everything, so that's always
beautiful.
Yeah, that makes it pretty easy that way, right?
Yeah, whenever it's like plug and play for the most part, like that's a nice thing with Bluetooth, and for the most part, things seem to just kind of work these days. Other than my freaking Xbox, but other than that, although I haven't tried it in a while, I'm sure maybe if there's a new update or something, because somebody told me that they fixed it in the previous update and it worked for a minute and then it stopped working again. So, but like I said, I think last time we talked, I gotta get that upgrade. I'm gonna have to upgrade to the Series X or S or whatever.
Which one's the better one? Upgrade.
Which one's the better one again? The S or the X?
The X is the better one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to happen, but
the X is $200 more, I think, than the S is. So, for whatever that's worth, but
I it's think like if you're going to get it, especially because with the one, I went the cheaper route, and I think it was like $150, and I got the one that was the discless,
right?
And just have pretty much done Game Pass, and probably will realistically do the same.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's kind of a matter of like, would I rather have that, or would I rather just get a better PC that I could play stuff on? Because you can still do the Game Pass stuff on there, but there's quite a bit more stuff that comes to console, it seems, on Game Pass that doesn't come to PC.
Yeah, and you get the multimedia center that way too, right? With all the video apps and everything, and Spotify and whatever else. Does
it have a Blu-ray player? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because that's big
Blu-ray.
too.
Yep.
That's big too. Because like I mean, obviously I have my PS4, but I just haven't really used that. I haven't turned that thing on in ages.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I mean, I sold mine, so you know where I'm at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know you got rid of it.
Yep. Dang. I have a PS3. I do not have a PS4.
My PS3 doesn't work anymore.
Ugh.
It just like overheats, at least last time I tried it. I took it apart and cleaned it out a long time ago, and it worked for like a few extra minutes. Like I was like, oh, I think I fixed it. And then like immediately just powers down, and then it turns right back on. So like my instinct is that it's overheating, or there's just some kind of hardware thing or software, whatever bug where it's like resets or something.
Like you, I'm sitting on my hands until I can get a PS5 and a PSVR 2 type of action. That's when I'm going to really seriously jump in on that environment over on that other side.
I'd be a little more tempted even to get something like the Oculus if it wasn't tied to Facebook or whatever, or Meta or whatever the heck they are now. I have Amazon Prime. I always like talk shit about how I'm going to cancel that one of these days. But it's not the end of the world, but I don't know. I just don't feel, let me get a Meta Quest. But every time that Dylan in the Discord talks about it, they're always like, oh, it's great to just like be able to like, it's a standalone unit, so like if the game is made for it or, is available on it, it just works. You don't have to plug it into anything.
For sure.
Up to anything, have
That's
anything
the
else
advantage.
running.
Yep.
It's kind of...
It's like a console. basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Switch, same thing that I'm always like, oh, I'd rather have it on the Switch, even if it's not the best version of the game in a lot of cases. But especially when it comes to like physical copies or
the Oculus
like
really took off this year, like sales wise. That seemed like that really caught on.
That's kind of surprising because it doesn't seem like the like metaverse really has caught on, but maybe I'm just not paying attention. But it seems
I think
like
it's just a price point thing of it, to be honest. Like, it just had just enough things that people would be interested in playing. Like, I mean, I'd play like Resident Evil 4 in VR and, some of those other things that have come out in VR, certainly. Like,
even like
cool.
Beat Saber or even like those more like mobile style I'm sure they have something Fruit Ninja-esque if they don't actually have a Fruit Ninja type thing where you're just, basically Beat Saber without the music. But there's all types of those like mini games or even those like kind of more narrative or like experiential games, maybe not so much a narrative, but just like it's about like when we went to that VR lounge way back when we talked about that on the podcast, like one of them was just like walk out on a plank on the edge of a building and like look down, and, get the fear of heights.
Right.
Or like, the Spider-Man thing, like it was more of like a tech demo than anything, but it still was kind of cool to like fling around and kind of feel even a smidge like Spider-Man digitally.
No, I want I want PSVR because I want like Rez. I think they did that in VR, right? What else was there? There's some like super hot VR, of course, and there's some like arcadey shooter type of things that are in VR, which would probably be fun. Like there's enough things there to justify it when it eventually happens, and I'm hoping that the PSVR 2 would be like. Because I know the original PSVR still had like a decent amount of like cables that needed to be plugged in, and like it was just a little bit like clunky still because it's first generation, all that stuff, right? So we'll see. Yeah,
it's a tempting proposition. That fucking PS5 is huge.
Oh my god, it's massive.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Like, I mean, the Series X is a chonker too, but it's like it's rectangular, so like.
You can like tuck it into a cubby a little better or something.
It's still shorter than the PS5 is, right? So it's like it fits in spaces a little bit better, and you can stand it up or lay down like you can with the PS5 too. But
but it feels like it's more like a little like mini like subwoofer almost, kind of, as opposed to
exactly.
Yeah, like a full blown desktop tower.
And I mean, compared to like. Even with the subwoofer that I had with my sound bar, it's quite a bit smaller than that subwoofer was, I would say. So like it's smaller than people might think. Still,
I was
for
just
as much
looking
power
at
is in there. Yeah,
I was just looking at my subwoofer, like I'm with packing and stuff. I was like going through my closet and I was like, holy shit, this subwoofer is huge. Like, God, no wonder I haven't had this thing hooked up.
I got a 5.1 system, and the other subwoofer is like a cube. It's like massive.
Yeah,
it's
that's how this one is too, and it's heavy as heck too.
Yeah,
but I haven't used it since I've been in an apartment for so long. It's just like, okay, I'm not going to mess with this. My speakers are plenty loud.
I know, and then you just get paranoid. Like, it's too much bass. It's too much bass. Like, like
just rumbling the whole place.
Yeah, it's like don't even connect the subwoofer. It's too much. It's too much bass to apply to people's ceilings and floors.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know. I'm always so conscious about that. Like when I did the movie nights at my place, I'd always be like riding the volume the whole time, like up, down, up, down. Like I don't. Oh, is the music about to kick in? Oh, something's about to happen. Like it's like I can't wait to just like hopefully someday have like a place that's just like don't share any walls with anybody.
Yeah.
Don't share any. The
peace of mind on that for like surround sound atmosphere is very, very nice.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm probably overly conscientious about that stuff, but like I still like. I think I don't know.
I think even though they may not know that you're doing it, I'm sure they appreciate not having an upstairs or down or side neighbor that just is blasting.
Yeah, and you never want to be that neighbor that like people have to knock on your door and be, hey, you playing guitar again or whatever, or
right?
Hey, do you mind turning it down? Like, at least I don't want to be that neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
So. Oh, we lost the video feed. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. He's back.
There I am. I froze for a minute.
I also realized that it was International Food Day at work where we all brought in dishes from our heritage. So
nice.
It may be the fact that my meals were this today was just like pierogies and egg rolls and like mole and like
just let's mix everything together
and then alcohol on top of that.
Yeah,
right?
food that was not meant to come into contact with each other.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about those in like school, like elementary school when they do the stuff like that.
Those
are good foods, though.
But like, oh my god,
yeah,
them are good foods. Did you bring something in?
Yeah, I made cherry chocolate brownies and called it Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. I was like,
I was hoping you brought in those little sausages that you've made a few times and brought over the cocktail weenies or whatever.
Those
are so good, man.
Weenies are good.
It's
the last time that you've made those a few times, and when you told me the recipe, I was like, what?
It is
no way.
It's the most like 70s like cookbook recipe that is
nice.
Unbelievable. Like
I'm here for it.
I'm trying to like it's mostly just grape jelly. What's the other thing?
Like chili paste or something?
It's
like chili powder.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
It's like literally just like a bottle of this and a can of this and that's it.
It's like the cocktail sauce, like the chili sauce that you would put like I think like whatchamacallit, or maybe it's just called cocktail sauce. I think it's and then you like either put like meatballs or like the cocktail weenies in it and put it in a slow cooker and you're done.
The crock pot, baby. Crock pot never
meal.
Fails.
Yep.
It's such a good like appetizer, and especially if you're drinking because it just soaks up everything.
Who doesn't like a little good tapas while you're drinking? That's a good time.
Yeah, when it comes to crock pot too, my mom gave me a recipe. Speaking of like that style recipe, it's like however many cans you want. It's like 7-can chili recipe or whatever. But like you basically get like a can of I think my mom does refried beans, but I do like a can of kidney beans, a can of black beans, a can of like 3 different types of beans, a can of tomatoes, a can of corn. And then I usually put the soy rizo from Trader Joe's in there.
Yeah.
And simmer that up, and it's good stuff. And you just like throw it in the crock pot, just let it cook like all freaking day, and
baby,
done with it.
Yeah, baby.
I used to also do that for like pulled pork, where like it was mostly just do if you put in like a can of Dr. Pepper. And then like some like Worcestershire sauce and like other stuff like
interesting.
So the acid that eats your stomach pulls apart the pork and makes it softer. That's really good.
Oh yeah, and there's so much sugar in it. Oh my god.
Yeah,
but
that's. I thought you were just gonna say like put barbecue sauce on it and let it simmer or whatever. But that's interesting.
That's the coward's way out.
Dr. Pepper, I feel like that is used in a handful of recipes.
I mean, it's got complexity for being a mainstream soda.
21, what is it? 21 flavors? Or whatever? I think I've heard the main flavor is prune juice. I don't know if that's like an urban legend, but I've heard that's like the main distinct. It's either prune juice. Oh, it's probably not prune juice. It's probably just prune, whatever flavoring.
Mr. Pibb, a good approximation.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the Pibb.
He didn't get his doctorate, but he's still really good.
PhD Pibb.
I love every off-brand, like Dr. Fizz.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good, especially like the off-brand ones.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so for this second ep here, we've got Into the Breach, and we could even just kind of briefly talk about like games coming to Netflix, I guess. In that regard. I could also just briefly off of that, like spin off and talk about that Telltale game real quick.
Yeah.
I did see the other day, Randall, that you played, or at least you were, when I was on Switch, I saw that you had booted up Mario Kart. Did you happen to play any of that new
Not
DLC?
Yet. No.
Okay, I was going to say if we could tie that DLC in.
No, I noticed it was out. I just didn't get a chance to get to it.
Nice. But still playing some Mario Kart, though? Sneaking
once in a while. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. That's the gift that keeps on giving.
Nice.
I think this is a good save it for the cast story, and not necessarily a story for the episode proper.
Yeah.
But so I was on my family vacation with my sisters and their kids, and like when they would go down for naps, that's like I brought my Switch because my brother-in-law brought his Switch, and like the kids like playing, like quote unquote playing Mario Party. Which
holding a controller,
which my youngest nephew calls Mabo Pobby.
Nice.
Which is the cutest.
Nice.
Like, oh,
that's adorable.
Yes. He also loves Bowser. Like he always has to play as Bowser. So I was very tickled when you're talking about
the kids love Bowser.
We might have to watch out for this generation.
But when they would go down for their naps, that's when I like tried to play it. I play a few games or whatever because we were all just like hanging out and like relaxing for an hour or two while the kids were not running around screaming. But they some of the older ones woke up and like came while I was playing Into the Breach, and I just they're like, Uncle John, what are you playing? And I was like, Bugs versus Robots.
Nice.
And like I kept like dying and like or doing really badly.
Yep.
And like I was being cognizant not to like swear in front of them. So like the oldest she was saying is like, Uncle John, why do you keep saying oh no? Like, and then like
just like I can't think of anything else.
Yeah. And like after a bit she's like, Uncle John, you're dying a lot in this game. And then my sister was like, okay, like think about how you would feel if somebody said that to you. And then like immediately after that she says, Uncle John, you're pretty good at this game.
You're like, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah,
cool.
sure.
What a sweetheart.
I really believe you.
Nice job. Real smooth.
You're the Bugs, right?
But like Lauren just lost it.
It's like Lauren's like, this is what I've been wanting to say all along.
Oh, I love seeing my husband owned by children.
Gonna build up Uncle John's confidence here. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, in that regard, because I'm trying to throw Randall a bone here to get
don't
some,
throw me any bones.
Not a bone, but like, so. But I actually,
I'm here as a sideshow. That's fine.
I got a little
sideshow
surprise
Randall.
bone. I got a little surprise bone here. Because I'll do this briefly, but after Tile Tale, I can kind of touch on Gorogoa briefly because it's kind of got a similar mechanics, and I've touched on it briefly on previous episodes. But I know John's played it too, so maybe something will come out of it. And then, but we could just do Into the Breach, the Netflix stuff, Tile Tale, and then just pretty much go to Monster Hunter at the end, DLC,
Sure.
and does that work?
Mm-hmm.
You said Tail. Do y'all see that Blossom Tales 2 is coming out next week?
What?
Yes, I did. Yeah. That's another one that actually Indie Game Collective had on their list. So I was like, oh, I'll check that out for sure. So,
oh, man. I love that first game. I will 100%
it's amazing.
Play that second game.
I actually, one of the poll that I just did in the Discord, it didn't end up winning, but I think it was a previous one, but Blossom Tales, I was like, you know what? I feel like going and finishing off that game maybe, so I put it on the list of 5 games. I've been kind of going back to that era because I had like Battle Chef Brigade on there.
Another awesome game. Yeah.
I had that game. I had Blossom Tales. I had Chasm on there. Chasm won the recent poll, so I'm going to be going back to Chasm and start, because I realized I was only about 65% on my file or whatever. I think I was about 2/3 through the game, and I never finished.
You're probably
it.
Not that far off from beating that, because that's
probably
completion percentage.
I might just start fresh, man.
Yeah,
I'm feeling.
I was gonna say like that is
starting over and seeing what that randomized stuff is all about.
Well, I kind of just want to play it again because like that was the whole point of playing a Metroidvania that was kind of systematic or procedurally generated.
Yeah,
because like. It's that every time that you replay the game, it is new, not so much like that every time you enter the dungeons, they're new. So like, that's my favorite. That's the thing that like I kind of was a little bit, not bummed about, but like excited about was the fact that I was like, oh yeah, like every time that I play Castlevania game for the first time, like it's that sense of exploration. But when I play it the second time, I know where everything is. So like that was the thing. I was like, oh, I really want to play this game a second time. And then I'll still have that sense of exploration.
Gives you some true incentive. Yeah. And I did boot it up for just like a quick second and play some of it. And I was like, dang, this is just smooth as ever.
It's a good game.
Smooth as ever.
Good game.
Yeah. Amazing. You guys want to knock out a clap here?
Yeah, sure.
Nice. And yeah, I got that. I'll sneak in a little bone in there because I did want to touch on a game that I know Randall will have some thoughts on too. So
all right.
It'll just be a brief. It's a game we've talked about before on the podcast. So it'll just be like, oh, I played some of this again.
Oh, that's... There's been a few games we talked about before on the podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't narrow it down much at all.
Have you seen the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Just a couple. We've probably talked about this one multiple times.
Have you seen the spreadsheet?
Oh my God, we are almost at 1,000.
Are we for real?
Yes.
I guess we're at like 170-ish episodes, I think.
That's still a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 10 per. Well, no, like 7 per or something.
Yeah.
That's still crazy.
Yeah. His first episodes were like 20 per. So it makes sense.
That's true. Yeah,
even
those early
still,
episodes
they're
were
like
insane.
around 5 per episode. Like
not the first episodes.
No, now.
oh yeah. I was gonna say there's like those first episodes. Like I can't remember when I was looking through those recently, or not recently, but I don't know, whenever the last time I did, and I was like, when I was copying them all over to YouTube, and like when I was like putting the descriptions in, I was like, holy shit, all these, like I was like, and I gotta copy the links. Thankfully YouTube just doesn't let the links work, so I was like, okay, I'm just not bothering with it. Or the hyperlinks or whatever.
Right.
With the Into the Breach, do we want to lead with the Netflix stuff, or
I don't have much to say about it. Like,
I just have some, like, it doesn't have to be like a conversation, but I just have some general thoughts about it, especially since the game from the Downwell developer came out there as well.
Have you played it?
I have not.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's save
no
it.
Netflix access
For the cast.
I don't have the Netflix.
Yeah.
That's one of the only ones we pay for.
Still have. Yeah.
I mean, we have a ton of others, but we don't pay for them.
Sure.
Prime's the only one that I still have just never gotten around to canceling for whatever reason. I'm like, it's kind of like an all-in-one. Like I get movies, I get games actually on it too. You get like, I don't know, and the shipping and stuff. It's like, it's enough. It's enough to be worth it, even though I hate Amazon.
Yeah.
Stuck on the home box office.
Yeah.
We did finish Sopranos though, so that's good.
Nice. I've always wanted to watch that show.
I
Since
would
the Best
recommend
Buy
watching
days.
that show.
I hear it holds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to watch The Rehearsal still.
Oh my gosh! I haven't even started
What's
that,
that?
but I'm not even sure. Yeah, I want to watch that, but it's a very morbid curiosity from things I've heard about what that show seems to be.
It's a new show?
Yes.
Have you seen Nathan For You, either of you?
I think
no,
you
but I've heard
showed
of
me
it.
that a long time ago, maybe. Like I feel like after like a movie night one time, you like put on some clips or something.
It is something else. Like someone,
same guy.
yeah,
Yeah. Nathan
so
Fielder?
like someone made a
I
really
remember
good,
thinking he was pretty funny.
Yeah.
like collection of like cringe humor
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
how like there are certain types of it that are like leaning more into absurdity, and some of them are leaning more into like, oh, like this is just an awkward situation where like his brand is so surreal and so like uncomfortable, but like
Yeah.
really it like so the I don't even want to like the reveal of what The Rehearsal even is.
I read an overview of the premise of what it is.
It is like it is so Charlie Kaufman on so many levels.
Okay.
Good comparison. Good comparison.
But like with
Yes.
real people. With,
Yes.
with actual people.
With
and I'm
actual
like,
people, yes.
Ugh.
Which is rough
Okay.
in some degrees.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely what I remember of Nathan for you as well. Like, it's like that cringe, uncomfortable, like a lot of these people aren't in on the gag and like, or at least seemingly are not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.